Do you ever say yes when every part of you wants to say no? Do you ever smile to keep the peace, even when your heart is quietly breaking? You're not alone, and you're not weak. This isn't a lack of confidence or courage. It's something much deeper. It's the psychology of people who please everyone but themselves, people who learned, often long ago, that keeping others happy was the only way to feel safe, accepted, or loved. And today we're going to uncover why that happens, why your brain, your emotions, and even your body have been wired to protect others before protecting yourself. So if you've ever felt drained from being the nice one, stay with me till the end of this video. Because once you understand what's really going on inside you, everything, from how you say no to how you love yourself, begins to change. And hey, before we dive in, if you love deep psychological topics like this, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. This channel is all about helping you understand yourself on a deeper level. Let's be honest. People pleasers are often some of the most loved and admired people you'll ever meet. They're kind, thoughtful, and always there when someone needs help. They rarely argue. They make everyone feel comfortable, and they seem to have endless patience. But behind that gentle smile, there's something no one sees: exhaustion, quiet resentment, and a constant aching question. Does anyone ever care about me the way I care about them? You see, people who please everyone aren't just trying to make others happy. They're trying to stay safe. Their kindness isn't always a choice. Sometimes it's a shield. They learned early that love could disappear if they said no, that peace was something they had to earn. Think about it. How many times have you said yes to extra work just to be liked? Or stayed in a draining friendship because you didn't want to disappoint someone? That's not weakness, that's survival. And it's not about kindness gone wrong. It's about love learned in fear. Keep watching, because in a moment we'll dive deeper into where this pattern starts and how your childhood experiences may still be silently shaping your adult relationships today. People-pleasing doesn't start in adulthood. It starts much earlier, in quiet childhood moments that seem innocent on the surface, but leave deep emotional imprints. When a child learns that love, attention, or safety depend on being good, quiet, or helpful, they start linking worthiness to compliance. They realize that being agreeable earns smiles, and resistance brings disapproval. If you were praised for being the easy one, the one who never made trouble, you didn't just learn manners. You learned survival. You learned that keeping peace meant keeping love. According to attachment theory, every child adapts to their caregivers to stay safe. If love felt unpredictable or conditional, if anger, silence, or withdrawal were common, that child became hyper-attuned to every emotional shift in the room. Every sigh felt like danger. Every frown felt like rejection. So they learned to fix it immediately. They watched faces carefully, adjusted their tone, read the atmosphere, always making sure no one was upset. That vigilance became second nature. And here's the thing. That pattern doesn't just vanish when you grow up. It follows you. As adults, people-pleasers still walk into rooms scanning for approval. They sense tension before it's spoken. They soften their voice, smile through discomfort, and shrink themselves to make others comfortable. They become emotional radar, tuned to everyone's needs but their own. If that sounds familiar, keep watching, because this is where the psychology gets even deeper. In a moment, we'll uncover the hidden fear that drives this pattern, the silent belief that keeps you putting others first even when it's breaking you inside. And if these insights are hitting home, don't forget to subscribe. This channel is all about understanding the why behind your emotions and learning how to finally feel free. Beneath the constant yes and polite smiles, there's a quiet, powerful fear. A fear of rejection. A fear of being seen as selfish, rude, or difficult. For many people-pleasers, that fear feels unbearable, because somewhere deep down, they believe that love can disappear the moment someone gets disappointed. The subconscious belief goes like this: if I make everyone happy, they won't leave me. But the cost of living that way is immense. It erases your sense of self. When you live your life trying not to disappoint others, you slowly start to disappoint yourself. You stop asking what you want. You forget what you like. You measure your worth by how comfortable others feel around you. You apologize too much. You downplay your needs. You feel guilty for resting. It's not that you don't have boundaries. It's that you were never taught you were allowed to have them. And here's the heartbreaking truth. The more you please others, the more invisible you become. Pleasing becomes your identity, not just your habit. But awareness changes everything. Because once you start noticing when your yes is coming from fear instead of care, you begin to take your power back. One small, honest no at a time. Stay with me to the end of this video. We're about to explore how this invisible fear transforms into emotional burnout and why your nervous system has been stuck in peacekeeper mode for so long. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe so you never miss these deep dive episodes that help you understand not just how you feel, but why. After years of trying to keep everyone happy, something begins to happen. Burnout. But this isn't the kind of exhaustion you can fix with sleep. It's emotional, invisible, the kind that seeps into your bones. People pleasers live with a constant hum of anxiety. Did I say something wrong? Do they still like me? Should I have done more? It's a mind that never rests, a nervous system that's always on alert, scanning for potential disapproval. They end up managing everyone's emotions while silently ignoring their own. And that's why many feel drained, anxious, or even depressed, because no matter how much they give, it's never enough to fill that inner emptiness. What's even more painful is that this pattern often attracts takers. Kindness without boundaries is magnetic to those who take advantage. And each time it happens, people pleasers blame themselves instead of seeing the pattern. It's not that they lack strength. It's that they were conditioned to believe strength means silence, that love means sacrifice. But real strength? It's the courage to protect your peace without guilt. Stay with me to the end, because soon we'll talk about how guilt keeps this cycle alive and how you can finally break it without losing your kindness. And if you're finding this helpful, remember to subscribe. These insights are made to help you heal and rediscover you. To here's where it gets even deeper. Guilt. For people pleasers, guilt isn't just an emotion, it's a leash. Every time they think about saying no, guilt tugs at them, whispering, "You're selfish. You're ungrateful. You're not being kind." But this guilt? It's not real guilt. It's conditioned guilt, learned early in life, reinforced by every good job they got for putting others first. It's the echo of a childhood where love was the reward for compliance. And over time, that echo becomes identity. You spend so long being the good one, the one who smooths things over, the one everyone can count on, that you've forgotten who you are without that label. Your brain has been trained to confuse pleasing with peace. Silence feels safe. Honesty feels dangerous. You tell yourself, it's fine, even when it's not, because truth might disrupt the harmony you've spent years maintaining. But that identity comes with a price. You give empathy outward, but rarely inward. You understand everyone's pain, but dismiss your own. You became everyone's safe place, but no one became yours. And that's where the loneliness hides, even in people surrounded by love. But here's the light. Guilt can be rewired. Once you start seeing it for what it really is, a conditioned reflex, not a moral truth, you begin to set yourself free. So don't go anywhere. In the next part, we'll talk about the subtle anger that hides beneath kindness and how facing it can help you reclaim your power. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's the time, because this channel is where self-awareness turns into emotional freedom. After years of trying to keep everyone happy, something begins to happen. Burnout. But this isn't the kind of exhaustion you can fix with sleep. It's emotional, invisible, the kind that seeps into your bones. People pleasers live with a constant hum of anxiety. Did I say something wrong? Do they still like me? Should I have done more? It's a mind that never rests, a nervous system that's always on alert, scanning for potential disapproval. They end up managing everyone's emotions while silently ignoring their own. And that's why many feel drained, anxious, or even depressed, because no matter how much they give, it's never enough to fill that inner emptiness. What's even more painful is that this pattern often attracts takers. Kindness without boundaries is magnetic to those who take advantage. And each time it happens, people pleasers blame themselves instead of seeing the pattern. It's not that they lack strength. It's that they were conditioned to believe strength means silence, that love means sacrifice. But real strength? It's the courage to protect your peace without guilt. Stay with me to the end, because soon we'll talk about how guilt keeps this cycle alive and how you can finally break it without losing your kindness. And if you're finding this helpful, remember to subscribe. These insights are made to help you heal and rediscover you. To here's where it gets even deeper. Guilt. For people pleasers, guilt isn't just an emotion, it's a leash. Every time they think about saying no, guilt tugs at them, whispering, "You're selfish. You're ungrateful. You're not being kind." But this guilt? It's not real guilt. It's conditioned guilt, learned early in life, reinforced by every good job they got for putting others first. It's the echo of a childhood where love was the reward for compliance. And over time, that echo becomes identity. You spend so long being the good one, the one who smooths things over, the one everyone can count on, that you've forgotten who you are without that label. Your brain has been trained to confuse pleasing with peace. Silence feels safe. Honesty feels dangerous. You tell yourself, it's fine, even when it's not, because truth might disrupt the harmony you've spent years maintaining. But that identity comes with a price. You give empathy outward, but rarely inward. You understand everyone's pain, but dismiss your own. You became everyone's safe place, but no one became yours. And that's where the loneliness hides, even in people surrounded by love. But here's the light. Guilt can be rewired. Once you start seeing it for what it really is, a conditioned reflex, not a moral truth, you begin to set yourself free. So don't go anywhere. In the next part, we'll talk about the subtle anger that hides beneath kindness, and how facing it can help you reclaim your power. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's the time, because this channel is where self-awareness turns into emotional freedom. At the heart of chronic people-pleasing lies a quiet, hidden belief: I'm only lovable when I'm useful. This single thought becomes the emotional foundation upon which an entire identity is built. People who please everyone often overperform. In relationships, at work, even in friendships, constantly proving their worth through service, kindness, and sacrifice. When someone shows even a hint of disappointment, their inner world collapses, not because they crave validation, but because disapproval feels like emotional danger. This isn't vanity, it's survival. Many people pleasers grew up in environments where love was conditional, where approval had to be earned through behavior. Rejection once meant emotional abandonment, and that fear still lives in their nervous system. But shame quietly thrives here. It tells them, you're not enough on your own. You must earn your place. And because of this, they struggle to believe they can be loved simply for existing. As adults, this pattern becomes a barrier to real connection. They may appear warm, generous, and easy to be around, but deep down, they fear that if anyone saw their real emotions, they'd be rejected. So, they hide behind kindness. They wear a mask of pleasantness, even when they're hurting inside. And beneath that mask lies a silent ache, the longing to be accepted not for what they do, but for who they truly are. Underneath the endless yes and polite smiles, there's a quiet, simmering anger. People pleasers rarely express it openly, because anger, to them, feels unsafe. They've been taught that expressing frustration risks rejection, so they bury it deep inside. But buried emotions don't disappear. They ferment. Over time, resentment grows, disguised as exhaustion or emotional numbness. They might say it's fine when it's not, or go out of their way to help someone while secretly feeling unappreciated. Then later, they wonder why they feel so drained and invisible. Inside, there's a voice whispering, "Why does no one ever care about me?" But just as quickly, guilt shuts that voice down. Don't be selfish. They need you. This internal battle creates a subtle emotional split. They crave freedom, yet they keep choosing servitude. Psychology calls this the fawn response, a trauma pattern where people appease others to stay safe. It's not just about kindness. It's about survival. Saying yes becomes a shield against rejection, a way to control the environment and avoid conflict. But this self-protective kindness has a cost. It silences authenticity. Every unspoken no becomes a quiet betrayal of the self. And eventually, the person who has spent their whole life avoiding conflict begins to feel one inside, between who they are and who they pretend to be. True healing begins when they realize that their anger isn't wrong. It's a signal that their boundaries deserve to exist too. This is where everything starts to shift. Change doesn't begin with rebellion. It begins with recognition. Awareness is the first quiet act of self-liberation. When you start noticing your own patterns, The way you rush to say yes, the way you feel anxious after helping, the way you replay conversations to check if you upset someone. You begin to see that not every act of kindness comes from love. Some come from fear. Say to yourself, it's not wrong to be kind. What hurts is when kindness costs me my peace. This realization changes everything. You begin to pause before reacting. You start asking, am I doing this because I want to, or because I'm afraid not to? That tiny pause, that breath of awareness, becomes a doorway to freedom. Awareness creates space between the automatic yes and the conscious no. And in that space, your true self starts to emerge. You begin to sense your own needs again. What feels good? What feels draining? What feels real? For the first time, you give yourself permission to matter as much as everyone else. That's where healing begins, not in changing who you are, but in remembering that your worth doesn't depend on how useful you are to others. Boundaries are not walls. They are bridges of honesty. The point where self-respect meets compassion. A boundary simply says, this is where I end and you begin. But for people pleasers, that line has always been blurry. They've spent so long merging with others' emotions that separation feels like rejection. The truth is, boundaries don't push love away. They keep it healthy. Without them, relationships turn into silent transactions. One gives endlessly. The other takes without noticing. Relearning boundaries means understanding that love without honesty isn't love. It's fear wearing a polite smile. Start small. Say, let me get back to you, instead of instantly agreeing. Practice silence after saying no. Resist the urge to over-explain. When guilt rises, remind yourself, someone's disappointment doesn't mean you did something wrong. You are not responsible for everyone's emotional comfort. At first, boundaries will feel selfish. You'll feel tension, maybe even fear. That's normal. It's just your nervous system unlearning old survival habits. But slowly, something beautiful happens. Your energy returns. You start to feel lighter, calmer, more honest. Say, when you stop overextending, your relationships become real. Build on honesty, not performance. Healthy people will respect your limits. The wrong ones will resist, fade, or criticize, and that's okay. Their reaction isn't rejection, it's revelation. Boundaries don't end connections. They reveal which ones were real all along. And that realization marks the beginning of genuine peace. After years of molding yourself to others, one of the hardest questions to answer is, what do I actually like? Many people pleasers realize they've built their lives around other people's comfort, dreams, and emotions, until their own preferences become blurry memories. So start small. Ask yourself, what do I enjoy when no one's watching? What makes me feel alive when I'm not trying to impress or please anyone? These questions open the door to rediscovery. It might feel strange, even selfish, to think about your own joy, but that discomfort is growth. It's your old identity loosening its grip. Reconnecting with yourself isn't about rebellion. It's about remembering. Remembering the hobbies, opinions, and passions that once made you you. You start to rebuild authenticity, not the good version everyone applauds, but the real version that quietly waited underneath. And here's the truth. Learning to disappoint others is part of healing. Because every time you choose yourself, you're refusing to abandon the person who needed you most, you. Say, when you finally choose yourself, the world doesn't collapse. It just rearranges. The people meant for you will adjust. And those who can't were never truly seeing you anyway. Behind every people pleaser is a child who once learned that love must be earned. That little one tried to be perfect, quiet, helpful. Anything to stay safe and loved. Healing, therefore, isn't about learning a new behavior. It's about returning to that child and saying, you don't have to try so hard anymore. The adult you are now can give the child what they never received, unconditional acceptance. Let that inner child rest. Let them play, cry, and make mistakes without fear of rejection. Say, you don't have to earn peace by being good. You already deserve it. This kind of healing happens in quiet moments, through journaling, therapy, or simply learning to say no without apology. Every act of self-kindness tells your inner child, you're safe now. When that child finally feels seen, the need to please begins to fade. You stop searching for validation in other people's eyes because you've learned to give it to yourself. True healing doesn't mean becoming less kind. It means letting your kindness include you, too. Here's one of the simplest, yet most powerful lessons for anyone who pleases everyone. The word no. No is not rejection. It's redirection. It's a gentle but firm way of saying, I honor my limits. Every time you say no to someone else's demands, you're saying yes to yourself, to your time, your energy, your truth. It's not selfish to protect your peace. In fact, it's a responsibility, a way of caring for your own soul. Each no creates space for what truly matters, for relationships that respect your boundaries, and for moments that refill your emotional tank. Remember, setting boundaries doesn't make you unkind. It makes you honest. It makes you whole. And every no spoken with awareness is a step toward reclaiming the life you were meant to live. If you spent years taking care of everyone but yourself, here's the truth. It's never too late to come home to you. Kindness is a beautiful trait, but real kindness begins with yourself. You don't have to be liked by everyone. You don't have to perform endlessly to prove your worth. What matters is living in a way that feels honest, grounded, and true to your own heart. Imagine a life where you can say yes with love and no without guilt. A life where your peace is protected, your energy respected, and your inner child finally feels safe. The world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more authentic ones. People who understand that self-respect and empathy can coexist. People who know how to care deeply for others while never abandoning themselves. So start today. Your peace is waiting.